guys, it's Emily and my little here. There's been a couple requests for pelvic floor, how to strengthen tone, core work, and how do I know I'm using my pelvic floor. So I have a small physio ball, yoga ball, Pilates ball, whatever you want to call it. I have a smaller one underneath me, and then Charlotte's probably gonna roll the bigger one that I like, which is a 65 centimeter one. I'm on a 55.
Mama.
Yeah, you want to sit?
Yeah.
So, the ball is really kind of like easy to access for some. I know I find it really helpful. Remember, like with the ball, don't minimize that if you're just sitting on it, you're still balancing on a ball. So you're still getting core work and very balanced core work. I can't tell you how many bad postures are improved instantly by sitting on the ball. So if you're finding yourself slumped over more and more, like I have been, it's really helpful to get like, all right, where are my sit bones? How can I reach my crown of the head up taller? And you'll find length in your spine again. So balancing on the ball keeps that core going. It's another way to use these balls is like once the littles are playing around, you could always have this in the corner to sit and watch them if you're not engaged in the play. You can also use one of these bigger ones at your desk if you're on a computer all day. That way too, you're still getting core work in there at the same time. I have a small one and a big one. Charlotte, of course, loves the big one as she's demonstrating, but the small one's kind of a benefit of this. So she can bounce and bounce and bounce on the ball, but meanwhile, I'm actually can do like pelvic floor work. I can practice on balancing. So lots of good reasons. For me, the ball gives me feedback of like that hammock of the pelvis, the base of the pelvis. So if you shift forward, it's more pubic bone. If you shift back, it's tailbone. If you shift to the right and to the left, you'll find those ischiotubers, those sit bones. Go get it.
Yeah.
So that's a good place to like, if you're watching kids, you can do a couple little hip circles, get to know your pelvis, get to know your base, because that's your foundation of your core work, or like people think about your powerhouse, like literally a little house. This is your foundation. How important is foundation? A lot. So from here, once you kind of do a couple hip wiggles, see how everything is feeling this morning, how embodied you're feeling, take a few rounds of breath, and they can just be natural rounds of breath. And those of you that find pelvic floor hard to find, don't push it. Don't like force it to happen. They're very, 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 very deep muscles. Especially after childbirth, things get a little haywire with the stretch and grip and whatever else can take place for you. So it's very individual. So on your inhale, I want you to try to imagine like pelvic floor opening and releasing, like coming, like feeling open towards the ball. And then on your exhale, I want you to feel like those 4 points that I mentioned come up and in. Are you gonna sit? So take a couple rounds of breath that way. So on your inhale, exactly. A couple inhales, you're imagining releasing, or use the visualization of a release, or like the base of like a tissue. And then on your exhales, I want you to feel like the tissue is like being pulled from the box, just really ever so slightly up and in, and slowly release. And pelvic floor is not like a bicep curl where you're loading and unloading. It's a very slow twitch, so it likes to pull up and in, and then slowly release. And this is, we want it to be like more of a reflex, especially with our breath. So as you're coming up from any, like a chair or up off the floor, use your exhales. So that way, you know, as you're contracting pelvic floor, transverses is also like knitting in and gathering. So like if I'm coming off this ball, I take an inhale, exhale, and coming up. And then I can inhale and exhale, coming back up. The other thing I wanted to show you was kind of like a show trick. So those of you that are pregnant, you can be on the balance, you can balance on the ball and just kind of, not balance, you know what I mean, like sit on the ball, not like, and you can squeeze inner thighs in so that you're developing the inner thigh, pelvic floor, transverse wrap around the belly during pregnancy. Those of you that are post-baby and ready for some challenge, you can actually balance on the ball, squeezing the ball and lifting your feet up off of it. So you can play around with that. I'll try to upload a video of that so you can see that, yeah, it's a thing. You can actually do it. But in the meantime, I'll get back to my little one. I hope you guys are well. I'll try to get more stuff out there. Send me your questions. I'm happy to help. I know it's tricky with littles, but we can do this together. Be well.